Well, what's going on, everybody? Rob and Peter back with another video. Coming off a national championship, the Buckeyes are looking to do something they've never done in their history, and that's repeat as national champions. We've been favorites a couple times, and it seems like the odds makers are betting that we're one of the favorites for this year in 2025 as well. But with the schedule we've got, opening up with Texas at home, the biggest non-conference matchup of the season, as well as some other contests thrown in there as well with Penn State, Illinois, and of course the yearly showdown with the Wolverines being in Ann Arbor. Rob, what do you think with that schedule? What do you think the chances are that we have an opportunity to repeat with as much draft stock as we lost last season?
Well, the thing that is, pretty much every team's favor is that there's an expanded playoff, so there's more room for error during the regular season. Ohio State last season got only 2 losses. They were able to regroup after that extremely detrimental loss to Michigan, and then they, just went on an elite run, and the rest is history. They're national champs
Right.
now. Repeating. Yes, because I like their odds making again, but dude, repeating, man, after the amount of talent that they lost the NFL draft, we're talking about 14 players. Not only
Mm-hmm.
that is they pretty much almost restart. Actually, they do restart with the entire defensive line. And as we
Yeah,
know, as we saw in that Texas semifinal game, was they won that game at the goal line in the trenches.
absolutely.
So we're gonna see what their season's gonna look like. It's that first Texas game is really gonna set the tone on what in terms of like talent and scheme and just seeing like, okay, maybe we got to get some kinks out with the defensive play calling.
Yeah,
The defensive line could be an issue. You just never know. This is pretty much almost a completely different squad. But again, that first game is going to set the tone. If they lose at home, which I have them losing the first game, by the way,
yeah,
it's just a matter of how many points. If they lose at home by at least a touchdown, I'll even 10 points, I'll feel really good
sure.
about the season. But if they get completely blasted,
Right.
it's gonna be okay. Like, what type of season is this gonna be?
Reset expectations,
Is it
possibly.
yeah, possibly reset the expectations? Because the good thing that's in their favor is they're returning two of the best players in college football, Jeremiah Smith on the offense side of the ball, and Caleb Downs on the defense side of the ball. So that's the two things that's two players that really in Ohio State's favor. But you were talking about the schedule. Let's
Yeah.
look at this schedule real quick. But let me ask you a question.
Well,
Um, what do you think is not trying to get off the tangent? You've looked at the schedule, right? What do you think is their ceiling? What do you think is their floor?
I'd say there's a ceiling of 11-1. I don't think there's any way we go undefeated with this roster we have when we went 10-2 with the roster that we had last year, and two new coordinators, both offensive and defensive. I think it's quite comical that we lost 14 players to the draft, but we probably returned the two best players in the nation. Like, I don't recall in all my years of football that happening. But floor wise, probably 9-3. Probably 9-3. I don't
Yeah,
think I could go below that because it's been so long since 2011 since we've seen even more than two losses in the regular season.
the three possible losses for me
Mm-hmm.
is Texas
Mm-hmm.
until otherwise, Ryan Day shows me that it's not a mental issue with him anymore. Michigan, and
Yep.
the third toss up is between Penn State and Illinois.
Yeah.
And a trap game, I'd say Wisconsin, but dude, just looking at how many players Wisconsin has lost to the portal is just
Exactly.
completely astronomical. And just maybe Luke Fickle's not meant for the big bright lights. That's like
Yeah,
it's
certainly.
it's you don't want to count something like that out because again, it's at Camp Randall. I mean, Oregon almost lost at Camp Randall, got very lucky. So you just never
Mhm.
know. But
Yep.
that's just a maybe, just a big maybe. It's possible, but just again, Luke Fickle and how many players they lost the transfer portal, their recruiting class is it's just not good. But let's look at this schedule real quick. So I
Yeah.
have them losing to Texas by at least, one touchdown. Grambling win, Ohio win. At Washington now the big talk is, whenever a Midwest Big 10 team
Mhm.
travels to the west to pretty much the west coast, there's the time change
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the flight lag and all the other stuff, and just like a bunch of Michigan fans been talking about that. I mean, could you possibly see that being a big factor in that game
It's
and possibly losing to Washington?
That's definitely gonna be a factor. Washington's not good enough to compete with us, though, on the football field. We'll be a lot more sluggish. It was proven last year that the teams that came east struggled and the teams that came west struggled, that took those cross country trips. And I don't have the exact stats, but it was a paltry and an appalling record for the teams that traveled across country for a game this year. I think I want to say there are only 3 wins of the teams that travel cross country. That's what's sticking out in my head right now. But no, Washington doesn't stack up with us on the football field anymore.
Yeah.
They peak every few years, and they're definitely down right now.
I mean, don't get me wrong, dude. Jed Fish he's a real
He is a very good coach,
he's a good coach.
but
But
DeBoer left a very very bare cupboard.
yeah, very dry and just pretty much had to start all over. Um, but what I thought was funny about Washington was they
Mhm.
posted a video of their late night games and said Ohio State has never played an atmosphere like this. And all I respond was, you clearly forgot that Ohio State has played multiple whiteout games at Happy Valley against Penn State. So
For
I don't,
sure.
I don't want to hear that nonsense. But let's continue to look at the schedule. Minnesota win. Now Illinois. We were
Mhm.
both talking about Illinois. So what could happen? We were just talking about this before we came on here.
Yeah, I
Didn't
could
did
see that definitely being a loss for sure. They ground and pound. And as you mentioned, we're replacing 4 starters on the D line. They're going to copy Michigan's playbook. Brett Bielema has them humming. 16 returning starters for the Fighting Illini, including their starting quarterback, Luke Allmeyer. And we've historically never played well at Illinois. So this is a toss-up game for me. I'm not going to mark it down as a loss right now. I got to see how they play coming out the gate, but I could see that absolutely being a loss.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I mean, Brett Bielema, good coach, but is he known for winning the big games? That's yet to be seen.
Sure.
Although I thought it was impressive that they beat South Carolina in
Heck yeah.
their bowl.
Heck
That
yeah.
was really impressive, man, because South Carolina was looking like they were heating up at the end of the season.
They were.
So
They beat Clemson.
yeah, they're gonna ride that momentum into the regular season. But dude, you bring a good point about their ground to pound style. More than likely gonna try to replicate Michigan and just see if they can win that way. But the D line, man, I don't like this situation.
Certainly.
We're gonna look at the depth chart in a bit, but just in terms of just the depth and rotation, I mean,
Hmm.
there's yes, there are upperclassmen, but little to no experience. Yeah, uh we saw Kenyatta Jackson
Yeah. Caden
and
Curry.
Caden Curry. But we have yet to see like what they're actually made of, because during the playoffs they pretty much got in that Oregon game or so during garbage time. So we're gonna
Yeah.
see with that. Wisconsin, we were talking about Wisconsin. I'm gonna count that as a win. Yes, is at Camp Randall, but
Yeah, it's in
I just
Madison.
I just don't like the position that Luke Fickell and the Wisconsin Badgers are in. It just seems like
Sure.
the program is just they're not recovering. The recruiting class are getting better. They're losing players to the transfer portal. Will they have their quarterback? We'll see, but I just don't like the situation.
Yeah, and there's a
Um,
high possibility that's a night game on NBC as well, making it even tougher.
oh yeah,
So
definitely. So that's a game to watch though. I'm not gonna lie. It's definitely a game to watch. As we know in the past, Wisconsin has definitely given Ohio State a lot of trouble at Camp Randall.
certainly so.
And it's actually cost them shots at remember Terrell that once what
Yeah,
year was it? Wasn't like
2010.
2010 cost them a shot at the national championship,
Yeah,
dude.
only loss of the season.
So definitely have given us fits, given Ohio State fits at a Camp Randall.
Yep.
All right. Penn State, yes, it's in Columbus, but Penn State, it seems like they're all in.
Yeah.
Even though they did the most Penn State thing ever, they're always good on defense, but yet, they lured away Jim Knowles
Sure.
from Columbus to, I guess, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. I mean, just like they've lost games because they just can't score more points.
Yeah.
That's the reason why they've lost these tight games because they haven't found ways to score on top notch defenses. But
Precisely.
it has helped that they did get some pickups in the transfer portal for the wide receivers because that's what they really lacked last season. I mean, it was just go look at those numbers. It was
Oh,
just
pathetic.
awful, pathetic. It's also Jim Knowles' homecoming, so I guarantee you he's licking his chops, thinking like, "Oh my gosh, I can go back." Because according to him,
He's
Ohio State screwed him, but we all know that's not true.
he's definitely got a vendetta against us.
Yeah.
What do you mark that as? A win or a loss? Because in my opinion, everywhere Jim Knowles has gone, it takes a couple years to get the defense rolling. Now Penn State has the defenders, but he has such a complicated, complex scheme. It's been proven every stop he's been at. By year 3, it's humming. First year was rough, even at Ohio State. I think
Yeah.
it'll be rough at Penn State too, defensively.
Oh yeah, definitely, dude. They're gonna be pulling their hair out when they realize the type of edge production they're gonna get in a Jim Knowles defense. Because dude,
Precisely.
they've been spoiled rotten over the years.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
Micah
bro.
Parsons, Chopper Robinson, Abdul Carter. I mean,
Heck yeah,
just
bro.
spoiled rotten, dude.
Yep.
Dude, I,
And you
I
going
was
for
not gonna lie, man. I was kind of cracking up when that the picture of just the lady said there, the
Oh man.
advertisement.
Yeah,
Okay,
buddy.
this is gonna be a quick one. The Boilermakers are no longer the Spoilermakers. We're moving on. UCLA. The last time Nico Amaliava, if that's how
Yeah,
you
buddy.
pronounce his name, with Tennessee, came in the shoe, got absolutely blasted. More than likely going to happen again. I just don't trust this kid's judgment. He's just not
For
ready
sure.
for the moment. That's going to be it. That's going to be a win,
Talent
definitely.
deficient, and Buckeyes are going to override that stadium. It's going to be a blowout. It's going to be nasty.
Yeah, Rutgers, that's going to be a win. Now this one, the game, the biggest rivalry in all of college football, where
For
talent
sure.
doesn't matter and who wants it more, and that's exactly what 2024 proved. Now it's going to be in Ann Arbor,
Yep.
you know, and just like okay, with the amount of talent that Ohio State had last season, they couldn't get it done at home. What are the chances that Ohio State goes in the big house and beats Michigan for the first time since what 2019?
Yep. That was our last W up here. I wouldn't put it any higher than a 55% chance to win, man. I mean, Bryce Underwood's going to be a very different quarterback in the Oklahoma game that he will be in the Ohio State game. That's a full season's worth of development by the time we face him. Um, They did get the monkey off his back with the fan base in regards to the national scene and top 5 matchups and winning those. Now he has a winning record for his top 5 teams, but he has not done anything to convince me that he can beat Michigan. And so right now, I'm looking at that as an L, only because of the mental game, the mental strain.
Yeah.
I don't see Dave being confident in that game, especially with a couple losses. Potentially leading up to that game. That game is different. It's a beast, man. And Dave puckers, and he's shown that he puckers in that game because of the intense pressure the fan base puts on him. And I would mark that as a loss right now at this point in the offseason.
Here's what I think, dude.
Yeah.
Here's what I think.
What you got?
I think that it's a new class. The 0-4 class is gone. It's a new era in terms of players at Ohio State for the rivalry. I think that they remember what happened last season. Just the arrogance from the Michigan players, just walking and waving that flag through Ohio State players, just completely idiotic. They're gonna remember that, dude. They're gonna remember what Bryce Underwood said about it's over for Ohio State.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna have some of the kinks out because again, he got the monkey off his back in terms of beating top 5 teams. He's finally won that coveted national championship that he's been looking for. But again, I mean, you have a good point about this game is a different beast. It's a different animal. And as of right now, he has shown us pretty much Buckeye Nation that he's just incapable of winning this game. But there could be a big chance that there's not that big of a mental issue anymore, and he just plays Ohio State football.
I sure hope so, man.
That's been the stop trying to pretend you're a ground pound team and get your players and speed out in space and let everything else take care of itself. If they do that, then I think they could beat Michigan, dude.
I think the main reason we bought in Max Clare was a checker piece for that Michigan game. I mean, it's an involvement of Day's offense because, as we know, under Meyer and Day, we just don't throw the tight ends very often. Scott and Stover stood up, a little bit this last couple of years, but even still, they've been a neglected part of the offense. And I think with bringing in Max Clare from Purdue, I think that is the checker piece that Day is trying to use to evolve in the Michigan game. And so there's potential that he just completely gets unleashed in that game. But yeah, we'll see, man. My confidence is pretty shot in that game. I have us going 10-2 overall. Obviously that makes the playoffs.
Yeah, that makes the playoffs. Now
I don't think we have any problem making the playoffs, but I just don't think we'll go very far.
I mean, let's look at this depth chart right now in terms of, once they get in the playoffs, what will be the big weakness in that playoffs that will result in them not repeating? Because I don't think they're going to repeat as national champs. I think
I don't see it.
They will definitely get to the playoffs. They'll make a little run, but dude, like to replicate last season and that playoff run, especially, we'll have to see what seeding they get.
I think we'll probably be somewhere in that 8-12 range again, as a 10-2 team, at least based on what I'm predicting. And I think we'll probably get to the quarterfinals, but
yeah. All right, let's look at the offense. So Jeremiah Smith at the X position, Carnell Tate at the Z position, Brandon Innes at the Y position, and you got Max Clare at tight end. I mean, but look at the talent, just wide receiver. I mean, you got Quincy Porter, Mylan Graham.
Yep.
Dude, Bryson Rogers looked good in the spring game. Dude, Quincy Porter looking like a freak of nature during the spring game. And Mylan Graham looked like he's going to get some playing time as well. He's going to be a factor. So no problem at in terms of the wide receiver position. Julian's saying he's clearly separated himself from the he's clearly separated himself in the quarterback battle. I'm anticipating him be the starting quarterback.
Yes.
Running back, I like what I saw from James People and CJ Donaldson. One to look out for is Bo Jackson. He got some playing time in the spring
He's
game as well.
yeah, he's gonna get some run this year.
Yeah. And, in terms of the offensive line, they looked really good. So it's either the offensive line looks really good, which, why the defensive line was kind of a little bit of a no-show,
Right.
or it's the defensive line is not that good. So they're making the offensive line look good. So it's those
Certainly.
it's those two options right there. But I mean, Tyler Bowen, he stepped up in recruiting. I mean, Sam Greer, the offensive lineman who's coming in, looks like an absolute dog. Uh,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but
Hopefully he's as good as a developer as Justin Fryer was, because for as bad as a recruiter he was, that man could develop an offensive line.
I mean,
And I'm hoping Bowen isn't the inverse of that. I'm hoping he can do both, you know.
yeah, he worked miracles with that offensive line after McLaughlin and what the
Our
left
left tackle went down, yeah.
the left
Josh
tackle went
Simmons.
down, Josh Simmons, and it was a master class. It was a masterpiece, dude.
Yep.
But I like always, dude. I expect good things from the offense, man. It's just there's
Yeah,
no way that the offense suffers under Day's scheme and the amount of talent that Hartline brings in, and just everything else. And you know what? We'll get to see if Hartline is ready for the bright lights in terms of being offensive coordinator. So
yeah, this will definitely be his last chance at that. I mean, proving himself, and I think he'll prove himself well this year. But right now, that's hopes and dreams. So we'll see.
yeah, but
I too. It's hard to doubt a Day offense. So
yeah. All right, let's look at the defense, dude. I'm worried about this defense. Matt Patricia coming from the NFL, little to
mhm,
no college experience. I mean, he was at Syracuse for a
sure,
bit, but I mean, it's been forever. I mean, so
that was a long
either
time ago.
the game will have left him behind, or he'll eventually catch up. But a red flag for me is, again, like, dude, this defensive line, man. I mean, yeah, Kenyatta Jackson, Edric Houston, and gosh, who's the I
Caden
mean,
McDonald.
Caden McDonald and Caden Curry. I mean, they all got playing time during the playoffs, but it was
Yeah.
garbage time. We have Bo Atkinson, who transferred from North Carolina.
Yep.
So
Bo's coming in.
that's gonna be good. Sonny Styles, he's gonna be leader. Evero Reese,
Yeah,
he was
Arvell Reese.
I
He's
mean,
elite.
Arvell Reese,
Yeah.
looking good whenever he was
Peyton
in.
Pierce is nice for depth too. Like we're so loaded, and Riley Pettijohn too. Like
Yeah.
it's not a position you typically rotate at. So I'm very happy that nobody transferred,
I mean,
because your
dude,
two linebackers and 4-2-5 schemers usually the guys on the field. But if anybody goes down, we got the depth to deal with the injuries on at that position group.
but dude, like, just the inexperience and just we have so many underclassmen at the defensive line. I mean, dude,
Yeah.
Will Smith and Will Smith, and I mean
Hmm.
Malone. He's not underclassmen, but he hasn't done much. I mean,
No,
we
he's
got
not a
Zion,
contributor.
Grady freshman, that 3 spot for DE. Then Jarquez Carter, freshman, Jason Moore, sophomore. Again, Will Smith Jr., sophomore. Edric
Mhm.
Houston starting, sophomore.
Right.
So, but
Yeah, I'm not worried about the first four guys like in the slightest bit, but after that, I'm extremely worried.
yeah.
Extremely worried.
But dude, the secondary, the back end, dude, just rich in talent.
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, Igbinosun, hopefully he worked out the kinks with being all handsy. But I mean, wow, Lorenzo Styles at that starting nickelback position.
Yeah, well, it's either him or McLean. They're fighting it out. They're duking it out. So we'll see what happens at that position.
Yeah, and then you have man, Downs, best safety in all of college football.
Absolutely.
McLean, strong safety. Jermaine
Hmm.
Matthews. Now there's a lot of talk that like the best corner was on the bench, and that was Jermaine Matthews. So we'll see what he's actually made of this season as the starter. But I'm not
Right.
worried about the secondary, dude. OG Walt is holding it down,
Yeah, Tim
and
Wallen's a beast.
yeah. So
He knows how to coach him up well. He knows how to recruit him well. And obviously, Downs is we've got the leader in the secondary on the field as it is. And so we're not going to be
but
a top 5 defense this year. I don't
no,
think
dude.
that's going to happen. We were the last 2 seasons. I expect to be a top 20 unit though, for sure, without question.
Yeah, but due to just the experience coming back, we have 2 new coordinators. I don't like
Sure.
the depth on the defensive line, just the rotation. Um, so it's just like that dude, I don't care what that was a big piece. That defense, just that experience, that leadership was a big piece in terms
Hmm.
of rallying this team to win a national championship. So I
Yeah.
just due to that, just everything just brand new, almost everything brand new. I just don't like the chances at repeating. I mean, you'll have Notre Dame in the playoffs, who was the youngest team in that playoff last year, and they made it the national
Yeah.
championship, and they
Yeah.
pretty much have everyone coming
I
back. I mean,
they're yeah. Oh,
you
sorry.
gotta
Go ahead.
you gotta deal with Texas.
Yeah.
They'll more than likely make the playoffs. I mean, Clemson, they're going to be loaded again, and
Oh
they're going
yeah.
to more experience. Then you got Penn State. Who knows what's going to happen in the regular season, but they'll definitely be in the playoffs. So, I
Yeah, for
mean,
sure, man. I think there's better teams than us. I have been pretty flabbergasted that we're looking at being the potential number 1 team in America starting the season. I think a lot of that has to do with wanting it to be a 1 versus 2 matchup versus Texas for the TV ratings. I don't really think we're the number 1 team in America. I think there's probably 2 to 3 other teams that are better than us right now at this point. But obviously, Julian Sand is going to play a big role in it, man. Like, what kind of leader he can be. He's a very, very quiet dude, apparently. Um, but he's a baller, like a silent killer, is what I've heard. So we're
yeah,
gonna
dude,
find out, man. But I have us going 10-2, making the playoffs and getting to the quarterfinals. That's my prediction for the season at
yeah,
this
man.
point of the off season. Now that may totally change. We might come out gangbusters.
Yeah,
And then
or
I,
we
I
may
can
come up.
reevaluate.
I mean, dude, I just it's hard to see Ohio State just being complete duds, dude. I mean,
Yeah,
that schedule that we just showed, like 10 of those games, 9, 10 of those games, they'll win just based off talent, dude.
sheer talent alone, absolutely. And that's why I have us making the playoffs no matter what. I do think we take a step back, but I don't think we miss the playoffs. So that's kind of my prediction for the season. But we'll definitely chop this up more as we get closer to the kickoff of the season. Obviously, break down the Texas matchup more as that game comes along. But any other final thoughts or anything before we sign off here?
No, man, I'm getting I mean, we're a little ways away. You
Yes.
know, we'll hear more once fall camp starts, but I'm getting excited, man. I miss
Yes,
college
sir.
football. I can't wait to see, what this new offense coordinator and Brian Hartline, new defense coordinator and Matt Patricia, see who's going to be that vocal leader on offense and defense, and you know, leadership this team is going to bring. So, because
Absolutely.
that's definitely a big key if you really want to repeat, and what the defensive
Mm,
line's going to look like, man.
yeah.
So,
No, that's a great points, man, for real. Well, that's gonna do it for this one. Go Bucks and God bless. We will see you on the next one.
OH.
IO. Go Bucks, baby.